Alright, on to Act 5, which is a chonker of a fucking act, and it's the Ascent is where we begin. Now, Act 5 is, it does get a little timey-wimey at times. There's some time travel involved, but it's also I'd say a pretty substantial difficulty spike. However, it does give us some juicy rewards and a lot of passives, so we're looking forward to that in that respect. One of the big added difficulty spikes of Act 5 is the fact that finishing it does make us lose a bunch of maximum res. Not to mention the generic tone of the enemies in Act 5 are more angry. So for this first section, the Ascent, we're pretty much just walking across the top right, over a bridge, into a wardrobe, under a fountain, through a time hole, and we end up in a town. Crafting recipe for stalemate? Stun ailment. Not so much stalemate. Stun ailment mitigation. Here's the lever, here's the time machine, and we're getting sent back to the days of Oriath. Now we gotta walk through the slave pens to get to town, and there's really only one little mini-boss we get to fight, but it's a very important mini-boss because it's kind of us. No, its name is not Guadalupe Barnett, but it's us. Making sure to always upgrade our life flasks whenever we have a chance. Just kind of keeping them up to date does help a lot. Alright, so this is going to be a little spooky here. There's an infamous combatant. That's a bit terrifying, because they could be kind of scary. This one has a dusk toe, which is very unimportant. But he has two stack decks. He's just like, that's a good belt. Ooh, I want that belt, actually. Yeah, this is the problem, is that we're gonna see some of these demons now and again. We have to fight them. We're gonna go for... I think we're gonna go for the stack decks. We're gonna go for the stack decks. But keep in mind, infamous mercs are spooky. Might be squishy, but they have potential to one-shot me, so we are leery. See what our stack decks have. A Chinsel and a Jewelry. Alright. Nothing worth dying over, but I didn't die, so it's fine. I did realize that when we talked about grabbing the conversion, I actually don't have the ability to craft on my gloves yet the other part of the conversion, the final 10%, so we're probably going to hold off on grabbing the conversion mastery just yet, and instead we're going to grab the increase in reduction to max mana also apply to shock effect. Now, when I said we were going to find ourselves in here, what I meant was this man coming up. The mini-boss for this area is us, because he is casting a Stormburst-esque ability, you know? That's kind of cool. It's that little overseer. Like, he could have been us in another life, you know? Alright, into town we go, the Overseer's Tower. This is our new hub in Act 5. Kind of a cool reward, a little 2-stone ring. Our right ring is our worst ring, maybe? Fire, lightning, I guess. That one is more life, less chaos. I don't need the dex. Room for a suffix. That's probably just better. We can also gamble stuff. We haven't even really talked about this, but we have gold. An amount of gold. Not much gold, but an amount of gold. And we could use that gold to gamble to try to get new bases or new uniques. Now, there's nothing, I would say, unique-wise that's going to carry us at the moment, but we could do things... Yeah, like, I mean, we could gamble body armors just to try to get a 5-link or something. That's, like, not a terrible idea. So maybe doing a random armor yes body and saying, I mean, that rolled very, very well. Wrong colors, but you get the idea. And hoping for, like, ooh, this is going to have, you know, be a 5-link. It's not crazy. That's not a crazy idea remotely. You could roll belts and try to get for some of the Omega uniques, like Headhunter Mage, but not super likely. Because it is based off of the level we are, so we're going to be getting level 40-ish stuff in that unique area. But there's nothing super duper substantial that's going to blow us out of the water. So using it to try to get things like that could have been a 5-link. You know, things like that make more sense. And you want to wait till after level 50, I believe, because that's when you can natively start getting 6 sockets. And that makes a pretty substantial difference. What we can do here is toss a chrome and hope to get perfect. There we go. So that's gonna be a little upgrade for us. Cold lightning. Okay, we could toss some fire res on this new body armor. Toss some fire res on my new ring. Boom, boom, and now we are res capped, and we have a big old chunker of a life pool. So you can see our damage 941. If we take off one weapon, 765, take off the other, 598, meaning this weapon is giving us more damage than this one. Now, what we could do here, although we still go from 768 to 541, we could use this opportunity to gamble for a ES shield, which could maybe net us some damage and defenses in the same way, or we could just reroll wands and go dual wield wands and try to get a better weapon. In this case, it was not worth it. Even just hitting a rare, this might be just like more damage. Yeah, it is. Just because the value of flat is so high at this point that you might see some pretty funky ones. Oh, if that was 82 spell damage, we'd be busting. But you know, this is a decent way of finding something juicy. Unfortunately, we're going to see things like this that are too high level. But as of right now, this is the best one. These are kind of duds. We'll do one more. Yeah, alright. So let's stay where we are there. Put these duds away. We do have a regal. Just the one. And we're going to use it on this new wand. We've regaled gas speed. That's great. And now we could craft on some spell damage. This is going to be a pretty substantial DPS increase. And boom, 34. All right. So now our damage is going to go from 941 to 1260. That's great. It's always good to upgrade your gear. Let's over to the control blocks. We have to go grab a set of testicles in here. And then we are going to progress to the next set of Act 5. I don't want to go as far as to say we've developed a problem with our mana, but it's definitely, we're at the stage where we're going to want more mana. So I think we're probably going to start putting some points into mana pretty soon here. We may actually just backtrack our current progression of these two int nodes and then do that. We grab the miasmeter, which we're going to then hand in for a passive. Now we have to go grab the testicles I mentioned earlier. Alright, here is the boss of the area. It is Justicar Cassius. We're going to give him a little mark and then watch him just get blown the fuck up by my little totems. Boink. There he goes. There's the testicles, the eyes of zeal. They always look like a big old pair of nuts to me. On to the Oriat Square. Let's get our waypoint, but we're going to head back to town first to hand in our quest, grab our passive, and do a little bit of managing. Passive. We also get a flask. We're going to take a diamond flask because we are crit based. Respecialization through gold is not super duper cheap, but it's not super duper expensive. This is only a couple hundred gold, so it's fine, but it can get out of, you know, hand pretty fucking quickly. So we're going to pick up this guard wheel. It's mana with guard CDR and then guard duration. It's great for our arcane cloak. There's a similar set down here that we're going to pick up called Battle Ruse. Back to Oriat Square. There's a weird thing that happens here. You might pick up on the audio. There's just like a lot of women screaming in this act, and it always gets me. Like, I'll be playing the game and I'll just hear it and I'll think, is my wife being murdered upstairs? Or something, because there's just the sound of women screaming. Sulfite vein. Gotta get that sulfite up. There is one unique mob over here called the Matron, I believe. She is typically just a challenge. There she is. But doesn't really do much. Got a little Val side zone action. Poison on hit, so not super lethal. Okay, Val Vessel. 2 sacrifice at dusk. Nice. That does give us a couple pieces to the Adziri puzzle, if you will. Not really sure if Adziri's content we'll be doing in this this run through, but yeah, it's good to have. Target in sight. Trarthus and Fury from the sniper. The sniper has fallen. The sniper knows where it is because the sniper knows where it isn't. The Templar Courts. This area is a semi-maze, a quasi-maze, if you will, that ends up with just grabbing a waypoint and leaving the area. And okay, so this is pretty funny. We have found in the act the ideal mercenary for our build, which is going to be one of the War Priest variants, in this case the Fallen Reverend, that has both Zealotry and Wrath. Now, we could hire them, but in merely 10 levels, they will be too weak to survive. But it'll be a great time to have free Zealotry and Wrath worth of damage. So just for context, we're at, with Arcane Cloak up, 1500 DPS, okay? So we're going to hire these little fuckers here after we kill him. And I just want to showcase the damage increase we're going to gain from having free Zealotry and Wrath, alright? So we go from 2,000, so we gain 25% more damage overall from having him with us, because we always have Zealotry and Wrath active. Not to mention him himself is quite powerful, but yeah, it's going to be what we're eventually going to go for, is having one of him, but it's really hard to find a Zealotry, Wrath, Fallen Reverend. You could spend, 1,000 maps and never see one. He's particularly great also because this one rolled with a nice level of Absolution, so he's going to be walking around just spamming OP Absolution and clearing half the screen for me. Now, one thing we want to watch out for is not getting complacent. We don't want to get complacent and end up dying to some bullshit. So we always got to keep our head on a swivel in hardcore. But it does mean we could spend the next couple levels and points into more defensive things, and EHP and that sort of stuff. On to the Chamber of Innocence, where we get a waypoint, do one big loop, then we get to fight Innocence himself. Ooh, a Kineticist. I think it's our first one of those we've seen. 1, 2, 3, Assassin's Mark. Kind of always joked that you typically find perfect mercenaries when in the acts and not in the actual game, since mercs don't matter so much until you're in a level 83 zone, because that's when they're going to be max level, and they don't scale level ever. This merc that's level 40-something will always be level 40-something. His stats will be level 40, his whatever. So, he'll never be usable in the actual game. But to re-find him in an 83 zone is going to be quite a chore. Little crafting recipe to grab over here. No big deal. Just some movement speed and exerted attacks, rank 2. We're about to enter the final chamber here. And in the final chamber... Oh, first off, we're grabbing the quick recovery wheel, because it's a pretty nice little defensive wheel of life and mana regen. But this final chamber is really nice because it's just chock full of magic and rare mobs, and it's just some great experience. Like, I just leveled, and this room is going to give me another 20%. Ooh, an Onyx Amulet. Okay. That's a unique. Okay. I'm spooked. What could it be? What is it probably going to be? Probably a Carnage Heart. Hoping for an Astramentus. It's a Carnage Heart. That's fine. Carnage Heart's pretty nice. It has like 50 all stats and then all res, but the other parts of it don't do anything for me. Do I care about the all stats and the all res that badly at the moment? I don't think so, but we're definitely going to keep that because I might care about it later on. You know what I could do though? I could give it to my merc, because why not? Alright, here's the Innocence fight. If I was going to die in this act outside of fighting the act boss Katava, it's going to be here. Because, not this part, the first phase doesn't do much damage, but phase 2 does a substantial amount of damage during one of his abilities, and that's what I'd be worried of if anything. He has this fucking Toho bullet hell ability you're trying to dodge, and it's just a little bit spookums, so that's what I'm worried about whenever that occurs. Okay, there's phase 1 down, now we're on to phase 2. You have such a tremendous amount of Stormburst fucking stacking up here, it's crazy. Let's Assassin's Mark him. Alright, 1, 2, 3. And now we are waiting. So he's going to have a beam. He has the little spray. Beam, we just have to stay behind him. It's pretty easy to avoid. And then the one bullet hell thing is the really only scary mechanic. Aside from that, we're just chilling. Okay, here comes phase 2 in a moment here. He's going to come back off from immunity. He'll be phased near instantly. There he goes. Alright, beaming, and now we're on to the last section. One more add phase, and then we have to watch out for the bullet hell. Okay, we should be able to kill him before it really goes off here. So here he is, and let's watch him. And he's dead. There we go. Ooh, we got a chain belt, too. Chain belt. What chain belts are there? I mean, bated breath. Nope, it's Malagaros. Alright. The amethyst ring is honestly almost nicer. Malagaros is something we're definitely not using in hardcore, because it almost kills us. So that's a no from me, dog. Ready for the one cutscene in Path of Exile? Amazing. What a treat. Okay. $100 million. That's what we get. Now let's vendor off our trash. Check this amethyst ring. It's unfortunately terrible. Talk to Lonnie for a little reward. We get a jewel. We're going to take a cobalt jewel because cobalt jewels are caster geared. Even though I think there's some totem stuff in Crimson. We're just going to grab this because we're hoping for some good castery stuff. It's not good at all. So we're going to sell this. That's gone. But we also can check our shops if we wanted to for new stuff. Nothing and nothing. All right, cool. So now we're into the second half of Act 5, which is going to be walking from the Chamber of Innocence out, and then walking through and doing the little activities throughout the new torched areas. So fucking with innocence has kind of ruined everything, and now Kitava's back in action, and we have to now finish up Act 5, which culminates quelling Kitava from this immortal plane. Alright, out of the torch courts into the ruined square. Grab this waypoint next to the ossuary. Into the ossuary we go. There's not really a whole lot in here either. Just one little quest nugget we gotta grab. So we're gonna go grab that. Whoa! Now those are some gloves. That is gonna be Life Mana Tri-Res gloves. That's a real wah-wah-wee-wah. Alright, we're taking those. Those are some fucking hot gloves, baby. Hot gloves coming on up. Just gotta kill this flaming charlatan. There we go. Yeah, those are gonna be great. That's I lose a little bit of life, but I'm gaining, you know, res. I'm gaining effective health through mana. Just good. Ooh, unique. It's an Aberrat's little horn. It's not very good. It's quite a low level wand. Doesn't particularly help us at this stage of the game, so that's that. There's the Sign of Purity, which is our quest progression, followed by a little crafting recipe here. And boop, we get physical damage, rank 2. I've always wanted that. Heading back to town, gonna hand in the quest, talk to Bannon, our boy. We're gonna spend an alchemy here to put on lightning res in our new gloves, which are super duper nice. And we are gonna take the time here to 4-link these, because these are gloves that are like probably going to be used for a while, because they're 25-ish all res with life and then mana. For the first time ever, we're actually going to use our stash here and deposit some stuff. We've just been kind of bumming it for a while. I'm going to take this moment to swap over and set up our new colors here for our Arcane Cloak. We're running efficacy and more duration, just to make it so our Arcane Cloak lasts as long as possible, basically. Want it up just most of the time. Alright, back into the ruined square we go, and now we are heading... Oh, what is this? Looks like a massive shrine. Nope, acceleration. Now we are heading to the base of the ruined square, because we've got some more quests to do before we finish up Act 5, and down Kitava himself. Gotta go fight Utulu, and I gotta go do the reliquary, and then it's freedom. Okay, first up here is Utulu. Now, he is not really going to do much in himself either. It's you can die to him if you were to just like eat every single attack and then just get shotgunned maybe, but he perishes so quickly. And next up is the reliquary. The reliquary has one quest where you have to go gathering body parts, and one side quest which is opening up this vault. To open up the vault, you have to find 2 different keys which are gained from opening up chests in the area. You want to open up all the chests as you walk by, and you'll eventually find 2 keys. It's not really worth doing, but we're going to do it anyway. Here's the first organ piece, Hinakora's hair. There's the first key, Key of Devotion. A little crafting recipe for accuracy. Ooh, another unique. That's a spiral wand. There's Tukohama's tooth. This is the Storm Prism, which just gives us some power charge gen, but also not very good. We're way past that stage of the game at this point. Oh, there's the second key. Perfect. Because here is the third piece, Valako's Jaw. You've now got to loop back, do the vault, head back to town, and clean up the act. Alright, so key number 1, key number 2, turn key number 2, turn key number 1. Time to enter the vault. It's going to have like a big chest that most likely will just have like a couple rares, but can have uniques. Alright, here it is, the Vault Hoard, and it contains 2 rares. Alright, here's the quest 1. Thank you for the skill point, yoink. And quest number 2 from Bannon. We're going to take, I think we just take a wand still, yeah. Clean up the inventory. Let's do one last check from the vendors. Those things could be 5 links because they're 5 sockets, but not very likely. Alright, it is time now to walk over and enter the rooftops, and we'll make our way to Kitava to finish up the act. Here we go, onto the cathedral rooftop. Oh, there's that div card I was talking about. Society's Remorse, just for 10 alterations for 1 card. That's why we always click on the Sulfite, because you sometimes get some free alts. Additional sockets. Wow, that is a pretty nice amethyst ring, because that is life, about 30 chaos res, and then, you know, more res. That's a good helmet too. We're definitely going to take that amethyst ring. That's super good. It's really funny how much mercenaries kind of fuck with gearing in wow, it even flagged as being like high tier. Yeah, mercenaries really mess with gearing in this shit. So our cold res is by far the highest, so we're going to replace our ring that is the cold ring with this amethyst, bringing our chaos res to 68. We're about to lose res in mere moments here, but this is like good to prepare because you want to try to get to chaos cap as soon as possible. Alright, so here's Katava. Now, the thing that's going to kill you in Katava is going to be running in the same direction as his arm drag. The wood's not going to kill you. The slam really shouldn't kill you. That arm drag, if you ran with it and just got like tick, 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 that's what's going to get you more than anything. Especially in hardcore, watch out for that. The overhead slam, yeah, might hit 1,000. We have about, what do we have? Like 3,000, 3,500 EHP at the moment. Not too worried about that. These dots in the ground, not too worried about those. There's the X marks the spot. That's not really going to get you. That slam's not going to get you. It's the arm drag. That's going to get you. So we have to watch out for the arm drag. That's the one that's lethal. That right there. We don't want to be eating that. Time to damage the heart. We'll reapply Assassin's Mark. It's not very difficult at the moment. This is like pretty low tier shit. Reapply our totems. All 3 out for the duration of this next phase. Assassin's Mark. Watch what he's doing. He's slamming. Watch his hands. He's slamming. Let's watch his hands. He's phased. Totems back down. Mark back on the heart. On to the last portion here. Totems back down. Mark's back on the heart. Watching his arms. He's slamming. Watching his arms. He's phased. Totems back down. But it doesn't matter because the fight's over. So, our res. 75, 75, 60. There's Katava in his final looking form. See you again in 5 more acts in Act 10. Here's the big res hit. Maybe I could skip jump the debuff, and whoop, I missed it. So we're still at 75, 75, and now we're at 38 chaos res. Still incredibly healthy. That's with the res reduction. 30 all res across the board, but we've prepared, so we have no issues whatsoever. And with that, Act 5 comes to a close, and we are sailing to Rayclast to Act 6.